Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rise Summit. In today's session, I have Tracey Gazel, and she's a coach and awakening mentor who helps others step into their soul purpose by guiding them to heal themselves, align with their highest self, and share their unique light. Isn't that what we're doing in this summit right here, right now? Welcome, Tracey. So great to have you.
Hi, Nanisi. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so Tracey is also an author in our Transforming Trauma book. So I'm so excited to dive into this conversation and expose you to Tracey's body of work. Tracey, let's maybe start with a little bit of a backstory, how you came to do what you're doing.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm so honored to be part of the book project. Thank you. And as I wrote in my book chapter, everything changed for me when my dad passed away. That was really my big awakening moment, if you will, although I believe we have many small moments and large moments. That was a major one for me. And prior to that time, I always knew that I was a very sensitive person. I found out I was an empath, but growing up, I always was told I was too sensitive. I absorbed everyone's stress, their worry, their problems. I got really too involved in other people's stuff and their drama. And it's like I absorbed it in my body. And I didn't really ever know why I did that. I thought it meant that I was weak or I was fragile. But over time, I realized I was an empath. So, which means you're super sensitive, of course, to the energy and emotions of other people. So when my dad passed away, that just blew it all open. Of course, grief isn't easy for anybody. But I realized being sensitive meant that my ability to deeply feel the world around me as a sensitive meant that I had a gift, I had an advantage in connecting with my dad who had passed away, connecting with who he was as a spirit. And then from there, it really grew as I realized this gift of sensitivity. I wasn't weak, I wasn't fragile, I was gifted. And I could deeply tune into the world around me. I could deeply tune into the emotions of others and see what they needed and how I could help them, but in a much more healthy way rather than kind of absorbing and getting too drawn in with other people's stuff. So that was really where it all started for me.
Yeah, and I love the story of how what you perceive to be as a weakness actually became your superpower once you understood it and once you embraced it and once you started to cultivate it in a way that protects your inner world, right?
Yeah, you're so right. And that's the switch that I help people make. There are so many empath sensitive people around the world, and we're often in our family and our friends feeling like the black sheep. We're often isolated. We're often feel misunderstood. And that I think that leads us to feel, less than, weak, fragile. Everyone's telling us to toughen up all the time. So we feel very alone in these experiences. But when you connect with other people who are also sensitive or empaths or who have this deeper level of awareness, that's when you start to realize there is a different way to use your sensitivity. And so, that's how I help people realize that rather than focusing so heavily on what brings you pain and sadness within your body, there's a different way to focus your sensitivity. As empaths, we want to help everyone. We want the world to be a better place. We want to make a positive contribution. We want to fulfill our purpose as a healer or a leader of New Earth or whatever that might be. And that sometimes can lead us to focus on the injustices of the world, the pain and the suffering that we do truly want to help solve. But if we get too heavily focused on the things that bring us down, it really becomes this roadblock that gets in the way of us discovering and fulfilling our purpose.
Yeah, you touched on such an important point because I so relate to it, and I'm sure that many people in the audience do resonate with being an empath or a sensitive person. And I realized from a very young age, after serving in the army and really seeing some things from the inside out, that I have to be very discerning with the energy that I allow in. And so I stopped watching the news it's about 30 years now. And I remember how my father used to completely make a joke out of me and say that I'm so isolated. I don't know what's happening in the world. I dumb and stupid, in other words. And I said, I'd rather be dumb and stupid, but protect myself. And, I had a lot of eyes kind of opened at me. And I know that I've done the wise thing to protect my energy because, as you said, it's not that I don't feel it, I feel too much. And by feeling too much, I really can take on all that pain that I see. And it's just overwhelming. I mean, I can't hold it and I can't do anything with it. So I intuitively, later on, I backed it up with my learnings and studies, but intuitively as a young, young woman, I knew that I had to protect myself for my own sanity, for my own growth. And so I did, and I'm super happy that I did. And, how do you, as an empath, as a sensitive person, deal with that pain that you see there? I mean, besides cutting off the news, I just want to hear from you.
Yeah, there's lots of things to do. And I'm really glad to hear that you knew that at a young age and you took those steps for yourself. And because often my clients will say to me, well, I don't want to be shut off from the world, or I don't want to help people who are suffering because they feel that it's selfish to put themselves first. Mm-hmm. But my response to that is always, well, how do you think you can best help and serve people? Is it by lowering yourself to their level where they're at, their lower frequency, their sadness, their heaviness, or is it by caring for yourself, raising yourself up, healing yourself, and then helping them from that space? So of course, it's the latter, and not watching the news, or maybe not watching movies that are, horror movies or very violent, things that you notice really have an impact on your system is a really great place to start. And then from there, it's learning more about energy. And this is what I love to help with, is like energy mastery, and starting to learn, okay, what does my own energy feel like? Who am I as an energetic being, a soul, a spirit? What is my frequency? What is my unique energetic signature? Because once you have that awareness of yourself, then you can start to identify when there are other energies in your space. Be that other people, be that the collective right now. The world is, I don't have to tell you, there's so much going on in the world right now. It's so heavy on so many different levels. And for those of us who are sensitive to feeling the energy of the collective, it can be completely overwhelming. You don't even need to leave your house these days. I used to say, like, I'd protect myself before I went to the grocery store. But now it's like, well, to be in my own home, I have to have my energy protection tools up, because the energy of the collective is palpable. It's easy to pick up on it. So yeah, it's starting to recognize your own vibration so that you can then discern the energies of other people, places, and things that are in your space. It's getting the energy of your home feeling really wonderful and clean and cleansed so that you feel safe when you're at home in your own space. It's looking at the people that you spend the most amount of time with. Who are you sharing your energy with? Are they filling you up, or are they sucking you dry? Which is another thing with empaths as well, is it's often like other people have this heat-seeking device on them, and they can find us, and we're good listeners, and so some people like to really latch on and tune into our good vibes. And so it's looking at your relationships. There's so many different levels, but my favorite thing's got to be energy mastery and going deep into the energy piece.
Yeah, and that makes so much sense. And so let's talk a little bit about toxic people, because I think that this is something that, especially people that have been through childhood trauma and still have relationships with, their foundational family or people from the past that might be toxic. And this is a real thing. So what's your take on it?
Yeah, so of course, there's lots of definitions of toxic. My definition would be that there isn't an even give and take of energy. There's people pulling from you, taking from you, and they're not giving back to you as much as they take. Mm-hmm. And again, as empath sensitive people, like, I really believe that we are the healers. We're as I mentioned, the leaders of New Earth. We have these deep purposes that we came here to fulfill. And other people can be very attracted to that type of energy because we naturally want to give, we naturally want to help. But we do need to be mindful of our boundaries. Boundaries are another thing that are really huge for everyone, but especially empaths and sensitives. Not only, physical boundaries, but also energetic boundaries, so that you have something I love helping with too is looking at your aura. Actually, this is my free gift that I provide to the summit, is looking at your aura, your energetic field around your body. Do you have clear boundaries around your energy? Or I meet lots of empaths who it's like there's no space where their energy ends and the other person begins. It's so blended. There's no clear boundary. And so if you have toxic people in your life, your family relationships maybe have a history, as you were saying, Denise, but these people, they perhaps, if you don't have proper boundaries up, they easily take and they don't give back a lot. And that's when it becomes unhealthy.
Right. So establishing boundaries is key to protect your space, to know how far you can go, feeling still protected and comfortable enough to share it with somebody else. So it's really for you to determine what is your boundaries, what feels good and what doesn't feel good and starts to feel uncomfortable. So yeah, I know that it's also about maybe wanting so much to please others and wanting to avoid fights and wanting to create peace, but you cannot do that when it actually harms yourself. So there's a very fine line right there.
Yeah, you're so right. And I know growing up, I was always the peacemaker in my household as a kid. I don't know why I just slid into that role. You as well. You're just like the natural mediator, advice giver. But as a child, that's really heavy. It can come naturally to you, but it's also not something that you always want to do because it's quite a heavy responsibility mediating between the family and yeah, boundaries can certainly help with that. And something I go into in the free gift with your boundaries is actually looking at, okay, your energetic boundaries. Sometimes if we don't feel safe, we've pulled them in tight around our body as a protection mechanism. But unfortunately, that has the opposite effect of what we would want because it can feel kind of almost suffocating, constricting and tight around our body. It's like we're wearing a really tight turtleneck or a tube sock or something. So if that's you and I walk you through this process, we look at just gently breathing those boundaries back out. And then the opposite of that is, again, another trait of sensitive people, empath people, is giving of ourselves to a fault, wanting to avoid conflict, wanting to be, help everyone be happy, help everyone be taken care of. But when we do this to a fault, we can push our energetic boundaries out too far so that they go beyond our radius around our body and we have all of this other energy in our space because we've just, everyone's invited, come on in, I'm going to take care of everybody, but it comes to a fault of yourself. So if that's the case as well, I help you bring your edges into where they want to be. And it's amazing how good it feels. And it's amazing how everyone can do this on their first try.
I love how you said that the boundaries can, they can be too far stretched, but they can also be too close, suffocating, which is really true. So it's almost like we all have the boundaries, but do we actually place them in the right, space? So they're not suffocating, but they're not too giving.
Yeah, exactly. It's about that healthy distance away from your body. So yeah, you don't need to completely protect yourself where you're, kind of suffocating yourself. That's not proper protection. That's doing more harm than good, because we do still want to invite trust in, invite relationships in, but in a very healthy and safe way.
Mm-hmm. So let's speak about soul purpose. What is your definition of it? Because we really highlight it in the theme of this summit.
Yeah, thanks. Great question. So I truly believe that every single person has a soul purpose, and it involves some type of positive contribution to the world. And it's your unique style of providing a positive contribution to the world. And so it can be something as huge as standing on stage and speaking to thousands of people. Think, Oprah Winfrey, think Marianne Williamson, or it can even be sharing your frequency. It can be healing yourself so that you show up as your best self and you have a positive impact with everyone around you. So it really can be a whole gamut of different things, and it can be more than one thing. But really, at its root, it's providing that positive contribution to the world to help make the world a better place.
I love that. I think this is really the essence of being on purpose. And it's really bringing online all of your superpowers and your talents, and those that you may have not perceived to be talents because there's such second nature to you. But how do you choose to express them in the world is really up to you, right? It's not right or wrong. There's so many ways that you can express it, and you can actually do it through anything you do. Whether it's being a mother, or in the workplace, or serving people in working in a shoe shop. It does not matter. It's bringing those qualities online in your exchange with people, right?
Yeah, you're so right. And it can be really anything. It can be working as a teacher. It can be like one of the best yoga teachers I've ever met. He has a part-time job as a janitor at the mall, and he loves taking care of the plants in the mall. And I just think, how cool is that he shows up and does his absolute best job, brings his best self, and just loves being in that space. And so there's so many different ways. And I love as well how you said that it's also something that's second nature to us, that it can be that simple that we've often overlook it. A lot of my clients, they think that they need to go out and do more schooling, more education, more certifications, and continue to develop themselves so that they can find their purpose. But for me, it's actually the opposite. I help them go within. So it's removing the layers that we've put on over the years, trying to be an adult, a grown-up, trying to fit into society and do what we think we're supposed to do as an adult. But it's taking back those layers and going deep into who you really are as a soul. Back to that, energetic conversation. Who are you as an energetic being? What makes you unique? And what did you come here to uniquely express? And then if we take it one step deeper as well, considering the book about transforming trauma, I truly believe as well that trauma provides hints as well towards our purpose, because what you've been through in your life, in your past, there's often a lesson that's hidden within it in a way that maybe you've overcome something really big, or maybe as a result, you have this passion within you of how you want to give back and how you want to help people in a similar situation. There's so many things that, although trauma is, no fun at all. I mean, that's an understatement to go through. But at the end, there are these hidden lessons, these gems within of how we're here to now give back as a result.
Hallelujah. You said it exactly as I, bring it to the world. This is exactly it. Trauma is not fun. We're not underestimating it in whatsoever. In fact, it's stretching the soul to such depth, and, accessing, the lows that are also part of the heights, just creating that bigger perspective of life. And, I always say that our life is designed in a way that will be for our soul evolution. And so everything that we went through, especially the hardships and the challenges, are there to mold us to be who we meant to be, so that we can then, share it in a purposeful way.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. And as we do that work, it can be shadow work, or it can be something different where we start to see the gems within what we've had to go through and how it's helped us really grow and transform as a person. And then we go deep within to find that who we truly are inside and live from that space, live purposefully from that space, that's when life becomes magic. That's when it's like we get on this magic carpet ride and the universe is supporting us and bringing us all these amazing opportunities. Like this event right now for me is part of my magic carpet ride. And we just get to go along for the ride and play and have fun. And that's my favorite thing. That's, I can see, as well, and then you see with your nodding, that space.
Yeah, and really, I mean, you say magic and play, and we have to remember that we really here for such a short span of time. I mean, it really is so short, and it's also a play. I mean, we tend to take things a little bit too seriously, and we overthink things, and we something in becoming adults made us very rigid in some ways, and we forget what it is to be light with the flow of life. And of course, kids are our best teachers because they just plug into the now moment and I just watch everything through such innocent eyes with such an open mind that they are really our gurus to remind us that we also have the inner child within that needs to express itself, right? And as children, we all did things that we enjoyed. So if you really have no idea what brings you joy, what you would do if money was not an issue, then look back at what you did when you were a child, because you will find some clues there.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I learned so much from my daughter, and over the past few years here, I've really taken back up some things from my childhood, like riding a bike. I love riding my bike and going for a run. Like I just have so much freedom when I just run around my neighborhood. I feel like I'm a kid again. So yes, definitely going back to those things that we loved as a kid, dancing, singing, even coloring. I love coloring in my daughter's coloring books. It seems as we grow into adulthood, we think we need to fit this mold, and we start to develop this I'll be happy when syndrome, right? So it's I'll be happy when I get the job I've been working towards. I'll be happy when I have a better relationship, when I have more money in my bank account. I'll be happy when, I get X, Y, and Z that I think I need to be happy. But what happens with that, of course, is we're always chasing. We're always chasing and keeping our happiness in the future, which of course we never get to, right? We're always in the present moment. And so as we start to bring back those childhood activities and we start to also go within and get really clear on who we truly are, we tune into our inner state of happiness, which is always this wellspring that's always there and available to us 24/7. Happiness, joy, love, peace, abundance, freedom. I even just love, as I'm saying them, I'm getting full body tingles. It's always available 24/7 within all of us. And the absolute beautiful thing to do is to tune into that now. And then from there, live from that space, have that overflow into action, overflow into being, and create with play, fun, find your purpose, live your purpose. But by feeling those beautiful emotions in this present moment.
Yeah, I love what you just said. And to highlight or to amplify those emotions, they are a myriad of practices, of tools that can really levitate you quickly. So, for instance, practicing gratitude is immediately elevates your frequency. It's a given. So if you just being grateful for people in your life in a very specific way. So not just, I'm grateful for my partner, but, I'm grateful for my partner that, makes me breakfast and, supports my work or something like that. And when you repeat them on a daily basis, it's just, raise your frequency immediately. And of course, there are so many ways to do so. And maybe you want to mention a few.
Yeah, definitely. And I love the gratitude one. And we hear it a lot. It's kind of in the self-help world, but it for good reason. It really is that shortcut to feeling really good, to refocusing away from lack, right? Things that are missing in our life, things that we're trying to achieve and get, onto what we already have. And if you're not sure what to focus on, it's likely everybody watching this, you likely have a tummy full of food, a roof over your head, clothes on your back, and at least one person in the world who loves you. And those are really beautiful places to start that we are fortunate to have. And then from there, yeah, you can just grow. I'm grateful for my relationship, for my husband making me dinner sometimes, or, whatever it might be. So in addition to gratitude, yes, I love, again, going into the energy mastery piece, because all those emotions that we were discussing, they all have their own unique frequency. And so especially as empaths and sensitive people we are these deep feelers, we can start to feel deeply into the different frequencies of emotion and begin to call those in first, tune into those first. So for everybody watching right now, if we just talk about the frequency of love, and if you just take some deep breaths and feel it with your body, just notice how it feels to exude love, tune into love. And from there, we can just compare it to the energy of peace. So if you just take a few moments to focus on peace, and maybe take a couple deep breaths again, feeling peace with your body, and just noticing those slight subtle differences between the different energies. Every energy has a different frequency, and we can start to tune into what we want to focus on rather than simply being a receiver of everything that is around us.
Yeah, very well said. Discerning what we input in our body in terms of anything, from content to food choices to people we engage with. But also I want to touch on, lower frequency energies. And, if any one of the people watching have quite heavy load of, say, shame or guilt or jealousy or any one of those anger, of those dense low frequencies, I first of all want to say that it's okay. Right? We don't fight it in terms of like, I don't want you here, go away, because that will just highlight that energy. It's really about being okay with it, feeling it fully, accepting ourselves with it, and then from there, raising the frequency by making other choices. And it also helps that, if we have, say, anger, and anger is really quite powerful, but we try to suppress it, and then every little trigger erupts it out, then it is very wise to find a way to discharge that anger in a safe way that doesn't harm you or others. So ways to discharge anger will be, going for a run, or crying, or beating a pillow, or shouting somewhere where, it's isolated and you can just let that frustration out. So really the journey is to work with where you are at, right? No suppressing, no spiritual bypassing, no saying I'm spiritual so I don't feel anger, BS kind of thing. Really working with what is present, but don't get to hang on to those emotions either, right? So if you sit, say, in anger, we're talking about anger for too long, then, maybe you're just perpetuating that. Maybe there's some payoff that you gain from being in that space. So it's just something to reflect on and self-inquire, because when you make the decision that you don't need to sit with that anger and you can really process it and then let it go, then you've got more space to welcome higher frequency energies.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah. And as humans, I totally agree. We are capable of experiencing the full spectrum. We all experience the full spectrum of emotions. There would be something wrong if we didn't feel the heavier, darker emotions, and it would it's not fair to say that, oh, I never feel that at all. Of course, it's part of the human experience. And I agree that emotions are energy in motion. They want to be expressed and felt so that they can be let go. If they're repressed and we deny them, they stay within our system. And so, yes, whatever we can do to feel what wants to be felt and then let it go. I've definitely screamed in a pillow or two in the past, and it does feel really good. And you just got to get it out sometimes, especially these days, everything going on in the world, there's a lot to be feeling, and just let it out so you can keep moving through and processing and going forward.
Right. And I also feel like mentioning that crying is medicine, laughing also, but crying has the capacity to really purify us from within. And I also like to mention the term that I discovered, which I call belly crying. And this is almost like belly laughter, where you're going to complete, unthinking stage where the body takes over and it's uncontrollable, and you just, you can have snot coming out of your nose, and your muscles are sore, and you just wailing and laughing. We all felt that, where we just laugh beyond what we can control. And so the same can go with crying. But so many of us, because we a bit scared to go there, we kind of don't let ourselves the permission to go there. And if we do cry, it's very shallow crying, like a shallow laugh. And that is not having the same impact and healing as belly cry. So I just want to put it out there. And if you really feel that crying needs to happen, then allow yourself to go there. If you feel that you need to be supported with another person that you trust, a therapist, or in nature. I know that if I need to cry, being in nature, I always feel very held. And just really that crying, going into that space, I feel so much lighter after that. So that is really powerful medicine.
Yes, yeah, something that wants to be released, and for empaths and sensitives as well. We seem to cry more or want to cry more, and there's nothing wrong with that. And yeah, I think it's important to let it out as well and have those good deep cries when you need to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so when we're working with our emotions, we really changing our magnetic field, right? Because the emotions have a magnetic currency. So when we able to change our magnetic, frequency, and we're able to control our thoughts, which are electric, then the electromagnetic force is the force of manifestation. Then we are able to bring into our life what we really align with.
Yeah, which is when we get back on that magic carpet ride, right? And we get to align ourselves with who we really are. And from there, start to create and play and call in what we desire and what we want to do as well. So another conversation I love, is the embodiment piece. Not sure if we have time for that today, but I love that one as well.
Yeah, so you already mentioned a little bit about the gift that you share with the audience. Do you want to quickly describe what it is? So
yeah, you bet.
People will go and get it in the link below.
Yeah, so I hope everyone checks out my free gift, where I'm going to walk you through an exercise to tune into your own energetic fields, your own aura. And we'll do this together. It's an excerpt taken from a training that I've done, and I'll walk you through. There are different methods to tuning into energy. Many empath sensitive people are strong feelers, right? So we can feel it, but there's also different ways as well. So there's seeing, there's having an inner knowing, and there's also hearing. And so I walk you through noticing what is your unique style of tuning in, and then using that knowledge I teach you as well how to tune into your energetic fields and how to notice where those boundaries are. So everyone, whether you're an empath or sensitive, or you don't consider yourself to be one of those things, that's fine too. But everybody can benefit from this because at our core, we are all made of energy and we all have these energetic boundaries. And so everyone can benefit from going within and then viewing your boundaries. Are they too tight? Are they too far? Without judgment, just simply noticing and then guiding them back to where they want to be in a healthy state. And I walk you through all of that in the free training. So I hope everyone checks it out.
Yeah, that sounds like such a beautiful starting point to work with the boundaries and really know where to place them and being aware of it. And thank you for that. It's a beautiful gift. I'm going to check it out as well. Tracey, thank you for this beautiful conversation and for your light in the world and everything that you're doing and still going to do, and for your passion and your purpose and your beautiful smile. And thank you for being you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me in this event, NAC. I'm honored, and thank you to everyone for watching as well, for saying yes to you and for continuing on your path of growth. I'm honored to be with you as well. So thank you to everybody.
Yeah, and so from me, Nuna Isima, your host, I'm going to conclude this session for today. Lots of love until we meet again. Ciao.
Bye-bye.